I think we're going to go ahead and get started. Can you guys hear me? No? Should we turn it up? Okay.
Yep, I'll get it.
You got it?
Yep.
It's the bottom. Okay. All right, can everybody hear me better now? Yeah, I can be really loud, so if this doesn't work. So hi, welcome. I'm Ronnie Pettit, and I have a lot of your children for math and science class. And
I'm Jill Walker, and I have the other half of your kids for math and science class.
yeah. And we, all fifth grade teachers go to camp, but we have been in charge of the camp program from the fifth grade perspective for 6 years, something. I don't know. We probably should have counted and figured that out. So, so we're kind of leading the charge, but the other teachers are all involved as well. So we wanted to welcome you and just kind of really briefly tell you why we're here tonight. First of all, we appreciate you taking time out of your evening. I know everyone's really busy. I was just at a ball field. She was dealing with some sick kids and everything. So we are right with you in busy lives. So thank you for being here. We are going to give you some information and history of the program, kind of how things are going to work. We're the staff leaders, so now you've met us. But you're going to get a chance to meet, and if you want to, speak with your child's counselors. And then, we have time at the end where we can just answer any questions that you have. So that's kind of where we're going, and we're recording ourselves here, so I'm trying to not look at that thing very much.
Okay, how many parents went to fifth grade camp? I knew there was going to be some. So those cabins, those are probably the same cabins that we stayed in. But I feel very fortunate. I went to school here, so I went to Camp Odiakwa as a camper and then a counselor, and now I'm back as a teacher. So I think this is like year 17 of trips to Camp Odiakwa. And so this is a really special place, and it is in the beautiful Hocking Hills, and your kids are going to have so much fun. We have been taking kids to camp. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of Larry Larson, and he started this camp program back in the 70s, so we feel very fortunate that we still have this going today. So we've had camp every year except for the last 2, so we're happy to get back.
So you don't need to write this down. This daily schedule is on one of the papers that you have. And so I guess this is a good time to say, I know that a couple of our counselors over there helped you to grab papers. The 2 white papers everyone should have that has a packing list and just some other information for parents. And also I believe on the bottom of one of them it has this schedule. And we like to point out the schedule mostly just to say they are super, super, super busy. There's no downtime at camp. The little bit of cabin time that we have is probably more the downtime, and that is whenever these counselors are working really hard to practice their cabin songs and to have them sweep the cabins and take care of things as well. So they're very, very busy at fifth grade camp. It's funny because I know students all have different bedtimes, ranging from really early to, some of them stay up pretty late. And some of them were asking me today, do we get to stay up late at camp? And, so this is pretty late. The 10 o'clock kind of bedtime is pretty late, I think, for most of your kids. But they are going to, it's kind of purposeful. We keep them busy. And then when their head hits that pillow, they are super, super tired, and it makes it easier on everyone. They're not as homesick because they're so exhausted, and then it makes it easier on our counselors too. So they don't have them putting up fights to try and stay awake. So we keep them very, very busy. They do have actually 6 classes. This says 7 classes. We forgot to change it. They're going to take part in 6 classes when they are at camp. They will do a scavenger hunt class that's actually led by Mrs. Walker and I. They will do a team building class where they kind of have some initiatives in the woods with like the ropes and fit a bunch of people onto a little square of wood. They also will do a craft where they will probably be kind of making some Native American craft. We also go to outdoor adventures, and those of you that went to Camp Odiakwa, you remember Split Rocks probably. And Split Rocks are these ginormous, just amazing, jaw-dropping, rocks that they get to explore, and then there's Fat Man Squeeze in there that they get to try to go through, which is really fun. We also have a survival class that's actually led by the Camp Odeakwa staff. That's something that we've added in the last few years, and the kids really, really like that. And then we have a double class of stream study. So instead of having 7 separate classes, and I think I said all 7, they will go to a doubly long stream study, just because it takes quite a while to get to the stream and then explore the stream. So they're busy, they're out in nature. You know, we're trying to tie things back into our curriculum as much as we can, but you know, a lot of it is just enjoying the other things that are really awesome for them to be learning about.
Okay, we will be keeping you up to date with pictures and tweets with information on what your campers are doing while we're there. You won't be in contact with your child directly, so we will do our best to give you a snapshot of what they're doing throughout the day, just so you can see their faces and see what they are getting to enjoy.
Another thing with that is that they can take cameras, and that's in the packing list somewhere in there. We encourage, you know, they don't really know how to use disposable cameras. They don't know how that works. But if you have a really, really cheap, inexpensive digital camera or some sort of camera that you want to send, that's okay. But we will take all those pictures that we've taken on Twitter and put them into like a Google Drive so they can all enjoy them when they get home as well. So something that started 5 years ago or so is Camp Odeakwa has a special precautions that they take for bed bugs. And so whenever we get there, we have to put, all the luggage has to be heated to 120 degrees to try and kill any bed bugs that might be coming into camp. And so we unload all the stuff and we put it into this little kind of closet, if you will, and then it all gets baked for a while. And so because of that, we ask, and Mrs. Walker, so we, it's best if you can use some sort of mesh bag. However, a soft-sided duffel bag works, okay? But we found for a couple years it was like they had to have a mesh bag, and now it's like, it works, you know, you need to have a soft-sided bag. The other thing that's really important is that the toiletries and anything that's not fabric really needs to not be in that same luggage. And we would actually also put all of the bedding, you know, of course, through in the heater as well. So we are also going to ask your child, you want to get, she brought props, you know, to show you. But we need all toiletries to go into really the best thing. If you have a gallon bag and put their name on it, that's going to be the best bet. So all toiletries go in that. And then we're going to ask them to put the toiletries probably in a little backpack or cinch sack and carry that on the bus with them. That way they don't accidentally end up in the luggage and getting baked, and then they have no deodorant, which is not good. But they also, you know, they've lost all of their stuff. Another thing that I think is important to keep in mind, and it's a hard one, is one time we had someone with just flip-flops, which we asked them to bring flip-flops maybe for the shower, or Crocs for the shower, which they can't be walking around main camp in those, but for the shower, those were in and got heated and like, you know, kind of melted and stuff. So it's hard, you know, we can't like take everything out of all the bags, so maybe if we can make sure that those types of things go into their book bag, that would be good, because it was kind of, those shoes really shrunk and they didn't fit that child anymore. So are there any questions about the bed bug precautions? They also bring in bed bug sniffing dogs and check the bunks for those. And a couple years ago, there was a time when we were driving home from camp and they were like, oh, the bed bug dog had a hit on one of the cabins. And we're like, oh my gosh, like, was it? Okay. And it was,
We're all like, they came home, we're like,
yes, they came home and people were driving home with like all the bedding like on top of their cars when they picked their kids up here. So it was kind of a mess. But you know, it's important, and it's good that they take these precautions coming in. And I guess they figure when you're going home, you're on your own. I don't know. So all right.
Okay, well, your child, like, we recommend bringing a backpack or just a bag like this because kids like to take it from class to class. So when they get dropped off at the school that morning, like, the most important thing is that they have this, that they have a water bottle with them, and then they also need their packed lunch. And they're gonna be with their toiletries. So they're gonna be in charge of that, and then one of the first things we do when we get to camp is we're gonna eat lunch, and then they'll be able to go unload this at their cabin. But a lot of kids like to have a bag with them. So if it's a lightweight one like this, that seems to work pretty well. Some kids also like to have a fanny pack, which they could bring and put it in that bag. But I guess, so most importantly, they need a lunch, a water bottle. We highly recommend 2 pairs of shoes because of stream study. We're gonna be out in the rain if it's raining. Let's see, deodorant. And then the flashlight, they love to have a flashlight at night. We're out a lot at night. And we recommend a trash bag because anything that gets wet, if they can just put their wet, dirty stuff in a trash bag, that seems to work well too. Okay, so they cannot take phones, electronics, which includes the smartwatches, and they don't need any money for anything. No gum, food, candy. We don't let them have anything in the cabins food-wise. Hair dryers, knives, or weapons. So
I know a bunch of them were very like, what? We can't take our phones, we can't take our smartwatches. And you know, that's the beauty of camp, right? Like disconnecting from all of that. And also, you know, I mean, really don't think we have the ability to charge all of those things either. So, you know, I think if you could just reinforce that, you're gonna be fine, you know, and we'll follow your adventure on Twitter and all of that stuff. So I know this world is not, you know, we forget our phone, we act like we've forgotten our right arm, but it's good, it's really good for them, so. All right, so we want to talk about just the procedures of coming, going to camp and coming home from camp, just so you know what to expect. So we are going to, on Wednesday the 18th, they are going to come to school after everyone else is already here, right? So we want all of the students who are coming to school, the non-fifth graders, you know, and the lots to be, you know, empty of drop-offs and stuff. So we're going to ask you to bring them to the Edison lot on First Avenue between 8:15 and 8:45. Please, 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 not before 8:15. It just gets too crazy with, you know, the people dropping off for regular school. Again, we keep saying this, but it's so important. Whenever they come, you know, we really need to have them to have these things kind of separately. So they're going to have their soft-sided bag with their clothes and have it labeled. You know, just masking tape's fine, or if you label things with Sharpie, you know, that's great too. And then their bedding, you know, and some people will want to bring a sleeping bag and pillows. Some people will want to bring, you know, their comforter and sheet and like whatever. So whatever works for your child. And please make sure that you help them to know how they're going to roll these things up or put them back together. And that's another thing that we said in one of the handouts is like, help them pack, but please make sure they are packing alongside of you so they know what they have, so they know how to put things back in. Like I feel like I still have to do that for my just turned 18-year-old sometimes, so I can only imagine sending away your 10 and 11-year-olds. And we also ask you to send in cookies. So with the one thing that we say they need to bring a lunch, they're only bringing a lunch for that first day because we eat as soon as we get there. Then they will have, and you'll see the meals on the schedule, you know, what part of the payment will cover the breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the other days. But what we've done, and I think Larry Larson started this in the early 70s, was bringing cookies from home for our snacks. And so I'm not a baker. I would totally buy the cookies, and that's fine. If you're a baker and you want to send in homemade cookies, that's great too. You know, it's best if we don't have any nuts so that we don't have to you know, worry about contaminants. So please, you know, the kids don't really like nuts anyway, you know, for the most part. But we will have, you know, make sure that we have, you know, I know Oreos are pretty safe and other things. And if your student, and I know I've talked to a few people who have some dietary needs, you know, if they are gluten-free, you send in their own pack of cookies and we will just give it to them. So if you have dietary restrictions, please talk to us and we will make sure that we take care of that. But we do ask you to send in cookies. So we're going to take cookies and we're going to put them all in a big tub, and then that's what everybody has for snacks before their afternoon hikes and then at night before bed. cookies and milk at 10 o'clock at night at camp. Like, that's what could be better, right?
Send them to the council.
Yeah, and then we send them to the counselors and let them do it. And then of course the other thing that we showed you and talked about, like making sure that separately they have their backpack that has their lunch and water bottle, bag of toiletries, maybe those extra shoes or flip-flops or Crocs so that they don't get cooked in the thing. And if you want to, it says this on a paper too. I know sometimes, the parents like to stay and wave goodbye whenever the bus leaves. And so if you want to stay, that's great. Of course, parking's a mess here anyway, and it'll be, you can't park in the staff lots and stuff. But if you wanted to park and then just kind of wait for them, that's fine. We should be leaving around 9 o'clock, but we need to double check that with the buses because of new busing things. So then whenever you come to pick them up on Friday, we're really not going to let them all come in and use the phone. So we want you to have a plan ahead of time. We should get back to school around 1:15. We will give updates on Twitter like, hey, we're getting close, and things like that. But please, just have a plan. And I know it might not be you picking them up. It might be a neighbor or, but we need to make sure that they are getting picked up, and they certainly aren't going to want to walk home by themselves because they're going to be pooped. So don't have major plans for that Friday. They're going to be really tired. Yeah, and that's that.
Okay, in case, if it's raining, we're gonna most likely be out in the rain. That's why, again, please send 2 pairs of shoes. Has been 1 year that it was a really bad storm and we got all of the kids to a safe shelter area, but it's happened once. But we have a plan in place. There are 2 different places that we can take the kids and all the counselors and make sure everybody's safe. Reasons to be sent home from camp. Well, if your child gets really sick or injured, we would of course be in contact with you. Amy Elliott will be at camp with us. So she'll be there to make the phone call. If your child is physically fighting with another student, they could be sent home, or if they are making threats to somebody at camp, they can also be sent home. We have not had a student sent home, so yeah, that's a good thing, but we just gotta say it just in case.
Okay, so I know that this has probably been a little bit of a confusing spot with the forms that we put in our Friday emails and, gosh, do we really have to get these signatures and all these things? And that's why we're having this meeting kind of sooner than later, because we want to make sure that you have everything together. So Amy Elliott, the school nurse, will be going to camp with us. She will be there the whole time and will be the one who's really primarily doing all of the nurse duties. She will be dispersing medication as needed. She will be dealing with, cuts and scrapes and anything maybe worse than that. So she's there in order to take care of those things. The important things about medication, and this is new if you've have older campers, we didn't have to get a separate physician signature to be able to give them like Tylenol and Advil before, and that is something that in this day and age we need to make sure that we do. So, the form, there are the 2 yellow forms over there, and I think I ran out of yellow because there wasn't any more yellow paper. But those are kind of the optional ones if you want your child to either get over-the-counter medication, and that includes like calamine lotion or cough drops. You have to get a physician's signature on that. And then the other one is if you have prescription medication or other over-the-counter medication that your child needs to take. So they need to take an over-the-counter Zyrtec for their allergies. You need to get a physician's signature for that. And the other thing that's really, really important is that they must be in the original container and not expired. So, you've got to make sure that, if you've got prescription meds, you're not pouring them into another bottle, like all that stuff. Mrs. Elliott has asked that you only send as much as you will need. So don't send extra. That's just kind of hard to then have to get back to you and all of that. So if they're going to need 3 pills of something, please just send 3 in that original packaging. It also cannot be expired. So make sure that you're taking care of that as well. The other thing that she's asked is please don't send vitamins. Of course vitamins are important, but they can take them on Wednesday before they leave and they can take them on Friday when they get home. So that's just too much of a hassle really to deal with. And she really, really would like for all medication to be turned into the office by Friday, May 13th, and turned into her. So like if you're able to some morning, and even if it's starting next week or something, be able to bring it in and leave it in the office, marked and labeled, and she'll probably get in contact with you. She wants to be able to make sure that everything is above board and right, and to her credit, that's really great. I will say that for years and years, we would say, here, hand your medication to this counselor, and the counselors would throw it in a tub, and we'd all be, that's just the way you did stuff for a long time. But that's not, the way that we can do that anymore. So if you have specific questions, of course, private questions, come talk to us if you need to, but are there any general questions about the medication stuff? No, so actually she did address that. So if there are some standing orders for EpiPens, especially Mrs. Elliott had said, they can use the one from school. I think just make sure you communicate with her, please. Because those are, I know, really expensive to get extras of those, yeah.
Calamine lotion, you said needs to be put on.
By a physician signature.
The bug spray.
I think it can be.
Yeah, I think the kids can bring bug spray and sunscreen. Yes, so yeah, I didn't really think about that. So you can send bug spray and sunscreen with your children, and they can use that as needed. That does not need a prescription. Good question. Yeah.
Are you sure I filled out this form already?
Yes. Yeah, so a lot of people have, and that's the tricky thing, like she's keeping track, and as we've gotten them, we've sent them to her. But, I don't want to send out things, here's who we've got all the medication from, that's not privacy. So trying to figure out the right way to make sure that it's gotten places. So let us think about the best way to do that. It's kind of a awkward thing. We do need of the white forms, the one white form, and if you want to sign it and leave it here tonight, that's great. It is the emergency consent, and it is just basically the basic permission slip for going to Odeaqua. So if you want to sign and leave that, that's great as well. Okay. I think that's all about medication and medical. Oh, I guess here's a couple of other things that Mrs. Elliott will take care of, your typical little bumps and bruises. But if there's any sort of more, intense injury that should happen, of course she will reach out to you with anything, other than a little Band-Aid. And, there have been times in the past where we've had to, take someone to, a local hospital for a broken bone or stitches. I mean, it doesn't happen very often. But I think that it might even be, unless it's emergency, that might be when she calls you and says, hey, we need you to come down because your child's going to need stitches, and then you'd have to come down and take care of that. So hopefully there will be no phone calls like that, but just make sure that you answer the phone for anyone, I guess, who's calling around that time. Yeah.
Edward may have a hockey tournament, which you may have to miss the day of, but is there any way I can pick him up?
Probably. Let's have a conversation about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would decide to do.
Yeah.
It's just a question.
Yeah, sure. We'll talk about that. Okay.
Okay, the cost of camp is $105. This will cover everything that your camper needs. It will be, I think it is right now.
It's ready to go.
On Easy Pay, so you can log in and you can pay that. If there is any issue at all with the money, we really would love every child to go, and we don't want that to be an issue. So we'd like you to reach out to Dr. Gage or one of us. There are scholarships available. We can help get every 5th grader to camp.
I think you'll also see in the drop down on Easy Pay that you can do it in installments. So I think it's broken into 3 $35 payments that you could choose to do as well. All right, so now it's time to talk about these amazing teenagers who are here with us. So before they introduce themselves, we just want to tell you, they put in so much hard work in order to make your children have the best time that they can at camp. We have 5 or 6, depending, classes that usually start at 8:30 at night. And so last Thursday we were here, from 8:30 to about 10:15. And so they're upstairs in the room, and we're teaching them, we're talking to them about how, to make everything be the best experience. So, they want to be here. They have applied and gone through an interview process, and some of you probably are familiar with that, having done it yourselves before. But we're really, really proud of this camp program, and a big part of it is these high schoolers that dedicate a lot of their free time in the spring when they're wanting to enjoy and let loose a little too. So we really cannot be more appreciative of them. Some of the things that we talk to them about, and we teach them what to do when kids are homesick, because that happens a lot. And I have a feeling it might happen even more this year because of the last 2 years of our world, and people probably haven't been out and about and spending and having sleepovers as much as maybe they used to. So we really prepare them and talk to them about ways to work around that. A lot of kids have fears of storms, and we talk about that. I don't think we've taught you guys that yet, what to do. We talk about any of the things that could pop up, and so they really are well prepared, and I think very positive role models for your students. How many of your kids came home like, oh my gosh, I met my counselor today, I'm so excited? And yeah. So I know that's a big piece of it. So we're gonna have them stand up, guys. Come on up and stand, and you are going to just give us your name and your cabin number. And then parents, I know that, thanks girls, we're towards the end of our program, so if you are wanting to, chat with your students, counselors, feel free. They're ready to have a conversation with you if you would like to. We'll go ahead and pass the mic so that they can be heard. And we're going to start out here. Just your name and cabin number.
I'm Lucia Mastriani, and I'm in cabin 9.
I'm Ian Rediger, and I'm in cabin 1. I'm Dylan Beffenberg, and I'm in cabin 5. I'm Danny Claypool, and I'm in cabin 5. I'm Will DeVere, and I'm in cabin 4. I'm Tristan Pierce, and I'm in cabin 2. I'm Jackson Van Oswald, and I'm in cabin 2.
I'm Evie Krabs, and I'm in cabin 7.
I'm Maggie Willie, and I'm in cabin 7.
I'm Greta 2, and I'm in cabin 10. I'm Henley Mueller, and I'm in cabin 10.
I'm Luce Emergis, and I'm in cabin 3.
I'm Gus Woolley, and I'm in cabin 3.
I'm Catherine Page, and I'm in cabin 12.
I'm Maria Ione, and I'm in cabin 12.
I'm Nora Taylor, and I'm in cabin 8.
I'm Chad Obzuns, and I'm also in cabin 8.
I'm Totally Downer, and I'm in cabin 11. I'm Charlotte Emergis, and I'm also in cabin 11.
Let's give our counselors a round of applause. We do have a couple of counselors who were actually at the band concert. When we originally scheduled this, I think the band concerts were switched, which alludes to my email that I keep sending of like, we know you have a concert and you can get here, and because they were flocked before. So unfortunately, it's easier for you guys, but then harder because we're missing a couple of counselors. Ben Matter and Maddox Baker are two. And do we have and Maddie Smith. So those are 3 additional counselors that are all at the band concert right now. All right, guys, if you want to stay there because we're almost done. We just finish up, and then they can keep an eye on you to meet you if they want to. There, yeah, you can sit if you want.
Well, you are welcome to hang out and ask questions like Ronnie said, but if you think of something later, please feel free to shoot one of us an email. We're happy to answer. And any questions about the medications, again, if you'll please direct those to Amy Elliott. She will get back to you as soon as she can. And thank you again for coming. It's so nice to see parents in person and not through a computer screen.
Thank you.